What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Bets and Run Pure Sports. And we have been running pure as of late in the association. And I got Tyler and AP with me. AP, how you doing today? You ready to break down some games?
Yeah, I am. We got a nice card. I think 8 games, and yeah, talking about running Pier, we were just talking about it before we got on the show. Snyder with a nice 80-1 hit, first round leader.
Unbelievable.
Keegan Bradley. We got spread 22-10 in April, just an absolute flamethrower. I mean, it's man, you guys are killing it. I love it. Tyler hitting, like crazy props every single night. It's a ton of fun.
Tyler, did you lose a draft prop last night, or were you 6-0?
We dropped two. We dropped Sertan to Dallas because he went one pick beforehand, and we lost Tennessee taking a wide receiver.
So how many units did you end up on the draft overall, though?
About 4, because we got Detroit taking an offensive lineman at plus 360. We got the exact order of the first wide receiver, running back, offensive lineman off the board being Chase, Najee Harris, Sewell. And we hit Tony under 30.5 and Najee Harris under 26.5.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were happy about that Harris pick. For Run Pure members will know that Tyler took a step back from the NBA this week to really dive into the NFL draft. And boy, I have to say the work was worth it because we enjoyed the fruits of his labor last night. But the work doesn't stop, so let's jump into today's card. The first game we have on the lineup for today is going to be a rematch of an absolute blowout. It's the Atlanta Hawks. They're going to rematch Philadelphia, so it's a back-to-back in the same arena. The 76ers. This game is lined at -9 right now. Let me find the exact score because it was ugly. 127-83. Now here's the differences when we're looking at this game. Is in that game last time, the Hawks missed Bogdanovich and Trae Young and Herter. Tonight I'm seeing Bogdanovich, Capella, and Young questionable. Herter and Hunter will still be out. Tony Snell is probable. And look at Philly with really probably the biggest surprise of the year, a clean injury report, AP. No injuries reported by the Philadelphia 76ers. They got to love that. But how are you approaching this game? This one seems to me pretty hard to handicap without knowing the status of arguably Atlanta's best 3 players.
Yeah, I mean, coming off a 46-point loss, I mean, that was just brutal. So when I was breaking this game down DFS-wise, it's pretty easy whether or not Young, Capella, Bogdanovich plays DFS-wise. Pretty much a full fade. There's some value pieces that are fine, like Seth Curry. When it comes to capping, I'm not betting against the 76ers right now, especially if Young, Capella, and Bogdanovich all get ruled out. They're going to get blown out again. I see no way the likes of like Solomon Hill, who else you got? Collins, he's not going to play a ton. Lou Williams, who looks terrible. He looks so bad. Chris Dunn isn't playing big minutes. No, Tony Snell's out. There's absolutely no way that if those 3 guys are out, that they keep this game close. So for me, it's a stay away. Maybe you sneak a Philly side bet in right when that news hits if they all get ruled out. If they play, I'd be a little bit worried about it, but I could still see Philly taking care of them tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of my mistakes on Wednesday, and I talked about it with my buddy that I went to the casino with. So the 2 dogs that I had targeted, earlier, in the day were the Hawks and the Kings, but the injury news kept me off those games, right? But then what I was mad at myself is, why didn't I pivot? Why? I mean, if I knew that the Hawks and the Kings were a bad bet, missing Harrison Barnes and Trae Young and Bogdanovich, and those guys, why didn't I pivot? So something that to keep in mind here as these injury reports come in, because that game wasn't even close. And Philly's looking fantastic right now. Tyler, did you have anything to add? And would there be any props that you might be looking at if these players are ruled out?
I mean, looking at this one, if all the guys are out for Atlanta, I mean, I love the under here. It's at 220. Yeah. You look at the games recently, they blew them out, 127-83. That stayed under. They got blown out by Detroit, 100-86, so that stays under. Stays under with Milwaukee, stays under with Miami. The only game they went over in their last 5 was against the Knicks, and that went to overtime.
Yeah, I mean, after being a pure over team last year, Atlanta's pace has slowed a lot.
Yep.
And there's some nights it's still hit and miss, but the defense has improved too. We know that Philly's got a top-notch defense. I kind of like your look at the under if you want to get involved now. And then, like we've mentioned, I don't see how you can get involved on the side without knowing the status of those three big players. So congratulations to Philly for having a clean injury report, though. That's something that we don't see often. Let's jump into the next game, which is the San Antonio Spurs, and they are heading to Boston to take on the Celtics. And what I think is an interesting matchup. The Celtics team has been, they've been up and down lately, right? I mean, they looked really good against Charlotte, and then they drop a game to Oklahoma City. I mean, what was going on with that? So now, let's see. I'm trying to see the most recent game they played. But regardless, we have San Antonio getting 4.5 points here tonight in Boston. San Antonio coming off that really close game against Miami. I had Miami. I felt fortunate to cover there. It was a 15-0 run at the end of the third quarter that basically decided that game for me and allowed me to cover the spread. San Antonio made a nice little run at the end there. Made me sweat that they were going to get a little backdoor cover in there, but Miami was able to pull it out. But regardless, I liked the fight that San Antonio showed in that game, and it wasn't fun being on the opposite side of them and the effort they gave. One other big thing that I think we have to mention when we're talking about San Antonio is that Derek White is out for the year, and Devin Vassell should be getting a majority of his minutes. So, AP, I kind of lead towards the dog here, but I have not made a play yet. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, I think this is one of the tougher games to break down capping wise. I mean, the Celtics 6-4 with a few bad losses in there, but I think so. Their most embarrassing one. I'm trying to pull it up. I think just from memory was the Thunder.
It's Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
lost to the Thunder. So I mean, and then they lost to the Nets, Hornets, Thunder, and they looked good against the Hornets this last game. And I'm worried about taking the dog here in the Spurs just because if Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, if they really want to put the Spurs team away, and if they come out firing, I think they could do it. The thing about the Celtics is like I don't know if you guys have been following this, but it seems like they suck in the first quarter. They like get in a hole, and then they're always battling back, and then at the end, they pull it out. But it just seems like if no matter what side of this game that you bet, you're going to be sweating, and I hate situations like that. So it's probably a fade for me. I have a slight lean to the Celtics. I do think they get the win here. I don't know if I want to be sweating this 4.5 side.
Hey, so AP, one other thing I wanted to ask you about when the Celtics got Fournier for a second rounder, I said that's a steal. How did he not even get a first round pick, right? Now it looks like Orlando made a steal. What's going on with Evan Fournier? And
has he made a shot?
It's just unbelievable, right?
God, he hasn't made he's made one shot per game in his last he's been an absolute disaster. He's 1 for 7. He was 1 for 7, 4 for 14, 0 for 3, 0 for 7 his last 4 games. So I don't know. And honestly, I think we're going to get more Lonnie Walker in there over Vassell. So they started Vassell last game, and then Lonnie Walker got the run down the stretch. He's actually been playing really good this season, so I think that is the rotation that we see tonight in a close game. I'm probably staying away. I don't know about you guys, though.
All right. Well, I like the Spurs. AP's says stay away, and hey, there's no problem in that. I think that for the last, what do we have left, 20 games of this NBA season? Be discerning. There's no reason to load up on your card. I mean, find a game you really like, play it, and then just have the rest of them on. If you're like me and you're an NBA junkie, instead of watching the draft, I'm watching the Pistons play last night. I mean, what's going on there? But, just be discerning and just take notes and get ready. Start looking at these rotations so we can really crush the playoffs. So got no problem if you guys want to stay away or pass on these games. It might be prudent in most of these situations. These lines have been tight. I've had so many that have come down to a half point or a point in the last couple days. Really giving credit to the bookmakers and how well they're able to predict these things. But Tyler, I like the Spurs. AP says stay away. What do you think of this game? Are you going to jump in with the Spurs, go opposite on the Celtics, or is it another one where you're passing and just checking out some NFL props?
I mean, give me a full pass on the side and total on this game.
Okay. Because
Boston's one of those teams. We've seen them do this with Detroit early in the year. They just don't want to play these sucky teams. Look what they did with OKC last game. They go out, they don't want to play, they lose the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Spurs game could be the same thing, or they could come out and show effort. But one thing I do notice in this game is Kemba Walker's out. And what we've noticed when he's been out is Tatum really scores the ball a lot better. His points prop's 26.5. I wouldn't mind hitting the over there.
All right, and if Tyler plays an over, I gotta look at him in DFS at that price point. Would you be looking at Tatum in some lineups, or is there way better spots AP at that price?
So yeah, Tatum, his price is sky high, but what that's been doing is keeping his ownership down. But this is a guy that he tends to be raw scoring dependent more so than other studs priced at this level. But if the scoring's there, like Tyler said, when Kemba's out, he's shown 60 plus fantasy point upside. 68 points against the Warriors, 58 against the Nets, 59 in their win against the Hornets. This is going to be a game where if it holds true to the 222 total or wherever it's at, a lot of points scored. A lot of those are going to have to come from Tatum. He's projected to be 6% owned right now. So I'm definitely on board with that for a tournament play.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. If you look at San Antonio, one of their strengths is they use their athleticism well. Probably one of the best designed defenses in the league, and they play excellent team defense. The way that I would attack that would be isolation, right? Because you got a great team defense that clogs the passing lanes, real active with their double teams. I want to try and just get ISO there, and that's where I think that Tatum could really take a step forward here. So I like that look for you, Tyler. I think that you might have found the best angle in that game. Let's jump on to the next one, Tyler, and I know you got a strong opinion on this one. It's the Washington Wizards, who are 28 and 34, 34 and 28 against the spread, heading to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers, who are 21 and 40. 21 and 41, 24 and 38 against the spread. Cleveland catching 7 at home. Tyler, what do you think here? I got a total of 227, and I told you before that two of the tanking teams that I come down to one player. OKC, I care about if Lou Dort's playing or not. Cleveland, I care about Larry Nance, and it's because how big they are on the defensive end. They get stops, get the other guys out in transition, get the easy baskets, get the good mojo flowing. Without those guys out there, they just give up too many baskets. It's hard to get some momentum when you're constantly taking the ball out of the net. So I like Washington here, but I didn't make a play. But what do you think, Tyler?
I mean, I really like Washington here because just like you said, you were talking about Nance, looking at their injury report. Nance, Lamar Stevens, Matthew Dellavedova, Isaiah Hartenstein all listed out with Colin Sexton listed questionable.
Yeah.
Now, they played this same matchup on the 25th. And if you look at the box score, Nance played 22 minutes. Dellavedova played 17. Hartenstein played 13. Lamar Stevens played 8. You're going to have to replace all those minutes tonight. And you look at the Wizards side, they were missing Hachimura, so they'll plug him right back into the starting lineup, taking some minutes away from Bertans. And in that game, you had Cleveland shoot better percentage from the field and out-rebound Washington. I don't think you have both of those things happen again, and Washington still managed to win that game by 9. I think if they shoot better than them, I think they win this game by 12 points easily.
I mean, Washington's the proverbial team that you don't want to play in the playoffs, right? Getting hot at the right time. Looking fantastic. You can almost throw those early season results out. I think of the play-in teams. If I was in the East, this might be the team that I'm worried about the most. And AP, I'm a little disappointed we don't get a DraftKings bonus when you drop dunks on AD like Rui Hachimura did the other night. That was quite the highlight here. So what do you think? Are you riding with us here on the Wizards, or do you have a good reason that we should be looking at the Cavs?
I have zero reasons to look at the Cavs. I mean, -6.5 is an absolute joke, and the overs is a good bet. Now, I wish I would have gotten the money in this morning at 226.5. It's already up 2 points. I still like it. Just going all right. So the Wizards are 9-1 over their last 10 games. This is a team that I would not want to play right now. Russ just looks unstoppable. Beal is hitting shots. Just imagine if Bertans starts to catch fire. I mean, he's been a disaster. He can't make a shot to save his life. And they paid him $70 million or something to come in and help stretch the floor, and that's not happening. So I mean, if that guy catches fire, this is a team that I would absolutely not want to play come playoff time. They're sitting 10th in the Eastern Conference right now. You have to think that they're going to leapfrog over the Pacers, Hornets, the Heat. Probably not. That's a stretch, but you got to think that they're going to be right there. In the bottom seed range in the Eastern Conference. But I definitely would not want to play them right out of the gate. I like the Wizards here. If you can get -6.5, I feel that's a very strong bet. I like the overs too. I think, when's the last time a Wizards game has gone over this 220? What's it? 228, 227?
Yeah.
It's been a while. Like, you just go look. The Thunder game went way over. The last time they played the Cavs, it was 229. The Spurs game obviously went way over. I think there was OT involved in that game. The Lakers are the only one that fell under, but only by a couple points. So I feel very good on the side and very good on the overs here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought this total was a tough one to attack because you have a team that loves to go over and the Wizards, and then a team that is the worst scoring team in the NBA and the Cavaliers. So they put it nice in the middle for us at 227.5. But one thing I noticed about the Wizards is they usually impose their pace of play on another team. So when they go against a slower team, usually the pace speeds up and this team gets out and runs with the Wizards. So I do like the over there as well. I think you guys have some great looks on that game. Let's talk about a game that probably not many people are going to be talking about, so we might make it quick. It's the Orlando Magic, who are 19-43, 29-31 against the spread, heading to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies, 31-30, 37-23 against the spread. This line is 12.5. It opened at 10.5, but of course nobody's moving to bet Orlando. So this was the biggest overnight move from the time I was looking at these lines last night, and it seems to make sense when you check out this injury report. I have no Okeke. Terrence Ross is doubtful. Otto Porter, I mean, he's just getting paid. He's got a great job. Michael Carter-Williams is going to be out, and on the Memphis side, we'll have no Jaren Jackson, and Grayson Allen is doubtful. I did not want to get involved in this game. I pretty much crossed it right off my list. 12.5 number seems right. But AP, am I missing maybe a profitable angle here?
No, I mean, maybe the unders. Just hold, like, Memphis is deep. They're good defensively. Orlando Magic, I mean, who's going to score the ball here? You're going to have Gary Harris taking a ton of shots. He can't hit a shot to save his life. You got Dwayne Bacon. I mean, maybe he gets hot. But you got Ennis. Cole Anthony, he's short. They could throw Dylan Brooks on him, and he's going to have a very tough time if they want to. I think it's a very bad matchup for the Magic. I have a tough time seeing how they're going to score 100 points here. So if I was going to bet, I'm always surprised with some of these games. You never know. Sometimes when these backup, scrub guys get in, they play hard, and it is what it is. But I'm definitely not touching the Magic side here or the Memphis side. I hate betting these big numbers. I would say a slight lean on the unders with the thought that I just don't see how the Magic are going to score here.
Yeah, I definitely. But I think you made a great point here, right? Some of these players, right, they have the guaranteed contracts. They're not tripping. These Magic guys, when they get in there, they're definitely playing for a spot in the NBA. I think that we will get a good effort from them. The problem is that they probably don't have the talent to be in the NBA, and that's why it took this situation for us to see them on the floor. I think it's really tough. I mean, I don't like laying 12.5 with this Memphis team right now, but I'm not going to get involved. I mean, to me, this is the easiest one to scratch off the board.
Yeah, let's just move to the next game.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. Let's just throw that game in the trash.
Yeah.
No way.
And DFS too. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have any DFS?
Don't, if you look at Gary Harris, he's playing big minutes and he had a good game. So I think people are going to play him in tournaments. Fade his ass. I don't think he's a good play at 4.4K. He's not good. It's a tough matchup. He needs to have an incredible game to hit value here. So I think he's going to be one of the guys that gets talked up, might be popular, and I just think he's a fade.
All right. Well, see, that's some good info there. Sometimes it's more important to know the players to stay off than the players to be on, because one snowflake can really ruin your whole lineup. All right, we got some news on this game here because we're getting really close to that injury report time. The Trailblazers have moved to -2.5 against the Brooklyn Nets here, and the Brooklyn Nets cast of rotating stars. Looks like the star that's going to play tonight is Kyrie Irving, and they're catching 2.5 at home. I didn't see him on the injury report. He was probable, and let me refresh this because I think they just moved.
No, they
just
pulled him off the injury report. He's playing.
Yeah, so we'll have
he's going to play.
Kyrie versus the Blazers. The Blazers, disappointing homestand against Memphis. Then they hit the road and they look like juggernauts. Great win over Indiana, and then they go to Memphis. Get that game back that they needed. Because they're fighting for that playing standing. now they'll be heading up to Brooklyn to take on a Nets team with I'd say probably the weakest member of their big three, but he's still a darn good basketball player here. So AP, what do you think? I was leaning to the Portland side, but I don't necessarily love it.
Yeah, I mean, even with one of these stars playing, this Nets team has been very good. They've been able to score the ball. Their rotational pieces have been playing. They're playing their role very well. Jeff Green has been playing good. Joe Harris is in there hitting buckets. Is Bruce Brown? Is he out too? I mean, he's been kind of a key piece.
He's out.
He's out. So I mean, that's a big hit right there. And the one thing I worry about, like taking the Nets side here, and why it makes sense that money is shifting to the Blazers side, is I think they found something over the last two games. They had a really rough stretch, but man, maybe something clicked because they blew up the Pacers, they blew up the Grizzlies, and they come into this game with I think momentum on their side going against Kyrie Irving and the Nets, kind of supporting cats. So. I think we see a lot of points here. I would lean the over. 240 doesn't scare me on a Friday with Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum, guys that can get buckets. We're not going to see much defense on either side. And then we just need Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris. We need those guys hitting shots. And I think the pace is going to be enough to support maybe just like a small, normal wager on the over here.
Yeah, I mean, this 240 line just basically screams to me that they know the game's going over and they're just trying to scare us off it. I think it's really going to be hard.
That's why I love those numbers that are like early in the season. If you would have saw, there's a lot of games where I was on like over 238 and a half, over 239 and a half. Early in the season, teams are just running, getting their legs back, shooting buckets. They're not as worried about defense. I view this game kind of like that. I think the pace is going to support it. And I think that 240 number, what they're trying to do is, scare people to the unders. And so I think overs smashes. 240 does not scare me at all.
I think that the books are still going to have liability on the under there. I think that even at this 240, it's going to be hard. They're going to be hard pressed to find people who want to get involved with that. Tyler, what are you thinking about this game?
I mean, from the side and total, Portland has looked good as of late, but we've seen them just flip that switch at any moment, and they could just go back to looking like one of the most mediocre teams in the league. And, I mean, Brooklyn's still kept this thing rolling regardless of the revolving door of injuries that just goes in and out for their team. So, I mean, if you had to pin me down to a side, probably give me the 2.5 points with Brooklyn.
Okay.
But one spot I really like in here is McCollum's points because no Bruce Brown, I mean, they're not going to have any defense in the backcourt. Like, Joe Harris isn't checking one of these guys, I don't think. CJ McCollum should clear that 20.5 easily.
Yeah, and that's a great look. We already talked about how we expect a lot of scoring in this game. So, of course, it's a great game to target overs. And McCollum's a great creator off the dribble. I think I'll be joining you in that one. If you are a Run Pure Bets member, you are bathing in CLV in this next game. The Milwaukee Bucks are heading to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Our guy HTP gave this out at +5. It's now -1 for Chicago. And that's obviously because Giannis is not going to play. I'll tell you what, I'm thinking about getting that little middle situation here. We got a +5 already, but I kind of like Milwaukee to handle this team, and I think that the fact that they lost last night, it's just huge for me to jump on the Milwaukee side here. Maybe a little bit of superstar subtraction. Their team is still much better, even without Giannis here. My main concern, of course, is Vukovic, but I think Lopez can, it's obviously not going to stop him, but at least trouble him and wear him out here a bit. And I just think I love Milwaukee's defense here against these younger perimeter players of the Chicago Bulls. So I see Levine out and Troy Brown out, Vukovic probable. And there's a guy named Axel Toupane from Milwaukee. AP, do you know who Axel Toupane is? I'm a big Guns N' Roses guy. I want him to be good. Do you know who he is?
I mean, I'm not. Their bench is so deep. I'm not super. I'm still. I mean, I'm trying to think. Did he play when? Did he? No, I'm thinking of a few. I'm thinking of like Jordan Nwora and Giannis and Sam Merrill, those guys. So they have another guy now, Axel Toupane.
Yeah, that's a great
Why am I
name
not
too.
seeing this guy on there? Like, did they just pull him off the G League or something?
I think he's a 10-day contract guy. I titled the same question yesterday. He didn't know him either. Yeah. So West Coast Gem's not a fan of him. But regardless, that was just some fun. How are you approaching this game, though? Do you think that Milwaukee can get the win shorthanded, or do you think this is a good smash spot for Chicago?
I think this is an absolute bounce back smash spot for the Bucks. The Bulls haven't been good. I mean, they're coming off a loss against the Knicks, who the Knicks are playing really well right now. They split games with the Heat. They got a win over the Hornets, but it's not like they've been that good. I think we see Holiday, Middleton, and then Bobby Portis. Obviously, I think we see these guys step up. I will say, this season compared to last season, when Giannis was out, the supporting cast of the Bucks was much better, and we haven't seen them play like they played last season when who they had, Bledsoe. And even though Drew Holiday seems like a massive upgrade to Bledsoe, but I think these guys get it right. I think Middleton, Holiday, DiVincenzo, I think these guys definitely take care of the Bulls tonight. I think the thing that can happen too is I do think Vucevic could have a big game here, against Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, but he's going to have to work. Brook Lopez is going to stretch things out to the perimeter, and if he hits shots, he's going to get it going. But I could not back the Bulls here. It just seems like an obvious bounce back spot. And the other thing too to keep in mind, yesterday you had some revenge stuff going on. You had different players on the Rockets side, they were kind of getting called out. Kevin Porter Jr. looked terrible in the previous game. And you had DJ Wilson, who got a lot of minutes. You just had guys that individually were very motivated in a spot where the Bucks definitely overlooked that Houston team. So I expect them to bounce back strong in a big way here and get the win.
What are you thinking, Tyler?
I hate to go against our guy HTP, but I can't back that Chicago Bulls team.
Well, here's the deal. If you, at this point, you're just going for a middle. I think it's quite plausible the Bucks win and Chicago covers that 5.5 that he gave out.
My only worry is when you look at these two teams, the Bulls might technically have the best player on the floor, depending on who you ask. The next 3 or 4 are all on Milwaukee's team. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
Vucevic? He's not the best player on the floor.
That's why I said, depending on who you ask.
I mean,
I say Holiday's the best player on the floor, but
I think he's been the best player on the floor. I mean, he's and
so
then you got Middleton too.
He's going to lock up whatever guard gets hot for Chicago if one of them does. Middleton will do his thing against their wings.
Yeah.
And I mean, as long as Vucevic doesn't go for 50 and 30, I think they win this game.
AP, so on Wednesday, one of my tougher beats, I'm having a great month, so I'm not going to complain at all, but I had Charlotte plus 9.5. They lost by 10, and I watched the game live, and the reason I lost that cover was because of Brook Lopez. The guy could not miss. What do you think of his prospects against Vucevic tonight? And the reason that I would say, hey, he's not the best player on the floor is he's not a very good defender, and we know that being a weak defender in the middle can absolutely sink your defense, where it's so much easier for teams to overcome weak perimeter defenders. It's so much easier to overcome a point guard that can't defend than a center here. Do you think Lopez has a great matchup, and when you consider rostering him tonight?
I mean, Lopez is still gonna, we want him to hit those outside shots. He's not like a post-up guy at all. So if anything, this matchup might be a little bit better for a guy like Vucevic, who doesn't have to match up against, kind of a big that likes to post up. But yeah, what's happened with Vucevic? If we go back 2 or 3 years ago, people used to, look at him as one of the better defenders and rim protectors in the league, but he's definitely not been good at all this year. So maybe it's just a function of being on a new team. Even with the Magic, he wasn't that good. So
I personally think it's a function, and we've seen this here. Almost Lou Dort had a similar effect too. When they bring up the offensive work hole, it's threshold or the usage. It's almost like they feel like it gives them an excuse to not try as hard on the defensive end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it could be legitimate, right? I mean, I don't like to run down these guys because being out here and playing at this level, these guys are moving so fast. The contact is so much. But I definitely feel that as he increased on the offensive end, he didn't feel like he needed to be as active on the defensive end, and it's definitely shown. I mean, there's certain plays where it's just like it's an easy rotation, and he fails to make it. He sticks with his big guy and lets another guy just get straight to the rim. So yeah, okay. So we all seem to like Milwaukee here. We think you can get a great middle if you're already on board. I think that'd be a great opportunity. I would not be surprised to see this just land there right in the middle of that game. Let's talk about the marquee game of the night. Unfortunately, Utah's not at full strength. I still think it's a must see. It's definitely going to be on my TV. The Utah Jazz heading to Phoenix to take on the Suns. Battle for first place, the number one seed in the West. Right now, Phoenix is 4.5, and that is because we will have no Donovan Mitchell and no Mike Conley. Without those players, Utah was able to absolutely smash the Sacramento Kings last night, or 2 nights ago, and set a franchise record for points scored at 154. So obviously they didn't miss the offense against a really weak defense, but now they're going against one of the better defenses in the league. I think the absence of those two players is going to be tough to overcome. But I did agree with the overnight move. I thought 5 was a little much. So did the overnight bettors. It's moved to 4.5 here. Have not made a move. I think this is a fascinating game, though. What do you think, AP?
So we all thought, last game that Jordan Clarkson would start. We know he likes coming off the bench. That's what happened. We saw Bojan, point guard, and I like that a lot. I mean, his usage rate, if you're following that type of stuff, jumped up significantly. The ball was in his hands, and man, he looked good. Now this is against a second-tier Kings team, so obviously this is going to be a completely different matchup. But still, it's a different look, and so defensively, I think even for the Suns, they might have to make some adjustments too with matching up against Bojan running point. You got Ingles in there. You got Niang, who's can hit 3-point shots. So I like, this might be a bad take, but I actually really like the Jazz here. I think we see these guys step up. I think we see them keep it close. I even think that they might get the win tonight. And I love this game for DFS too. Bojan is way underpriced at 6,300. The ball is going to be in his hands a ton tonight. You still get the same support off the bench. Like, the difference this game is we're going to see Jordan Clarkson close. He didn't need to close against the Kings. I mean, they blew them out. That game was not close at all. So I really like this game. I think the Jazz come away and surprise people, get the win tonight. I think we see big games from Bojan. I think we see a big game from Clarkson off the bench. And then Yang is a value that I really like tonight.
Tyler, how are you approaching this battle of the Western Conference juggernauts?
I mean, this is a tough one. Judging by the injury report that missing them 2 guards makes me kind of want to lean Phoenix. Mm-hmm. But I think in this game, you could definitely get plus money on both sides if you live bet it. Mm-hmm. And
great point.
I mean, I think this game means more to Phoenix because they win this game. They are now tied for the 1 seed. They're looking at Utah down both their starting guards. All you really got to do is run them off the 3 line now because that's all they're going to do is try and chuck threes. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you defend that 3 line, you're hitting your shots on the other end. I think they win this game.
Do you think they cover, though?
4.5. It's tough. I'd rather wait and bet a money line live.
All right, and I think you might have a great opportunity to do that. A sneaky name on this injury report. I think these guys mean more. And Saric. I want both of them in there, right? If I was going to take
that could change things a little bit. I thought Crowder was definitely out tonight, and
I see him as questionable on Basketball Monster.
If Royce O'Neal's out, I think he's a key piece in there. I think he's a good, he's not a flashy player, but he's one of their better defenders, I think. We'd want him on. He'd probably guard. They'd probably throw him on whoever is going off, probably like Booker or something like that, depending on the matchup. But if he's out, I wouldn't be as sure on the Jazz side here.
Yeah, so we'll definitely. It's for me. This game's definitely wait and see. If Crowder or Saric is missing, I think I'll be on the Jazz. And of course, Royce O'Neal would help, but I just think those two have been so important for them. We've seen Sarge close a lot of games as good as Aiton's been this year, and he continues to develop. And, if he was like a number 10 pick and not a number 1 pick, I think everyone would be pretty pleased with him. But Sarge is closing the games for them. It's weird because he doesn't have the athleticism, but he's actually a better defender than Aiton. He does better in the switches when he's attacked on a pick and roll situation. So I think he's really important to try and close this game and prevent Utah from what they're wanting to do. And of course, I've talked about Jay Crowder and his effectiveness as a defender 2 through 4, and the ability to hit the open shot as a bigger guy and space the floor. So I think those injuries are very important. So no move for me on that one until we get that report. And of course, the report will probably come out during the final countdown, which you can only watch by being a member of runpuresports.com. So head on over, use the promo code RPS Heater 25, and you can hang out with Holden and JSU and get all the news right up to lock. Also, please, while I'm doing the little promo stuff, let's like and subscribe to the video so we can continue to bring this actionable gambling content. Let's talk about the game that's probably an anticlimactic afterthought after the last one we discussed, but we'll break it down anyways. The Sacramento Kings head down to Los Angeles to play the Lakers. And, boy, both these teams look bad. I want to fade both these teams. The Lakers looked absolutely terrible against Washington. Since AD's come back, he's really only played okay against that Orlando game. And we already went down earlier how Orlando is basically like a G League team right now. He looked lost out there. He wasn't helpful in those minutes there against the Wizards. It really surprised me. I thought that was going to be a fantastic matchup for him. I don't know if he's hesitant because he's worried about getting hurt. He didn't get down low at all when he had a size advantage. Now, he was playing like the shooting guard you were always talking about, Tyler, how he's a shooting guard up until his senior year or whatever. I mean, he looked like a shooting guard out there. But
you can't tell me he doesn't still feel that injury in his bottom leg. Like,
and that's
lower leg, he still feels it.
Yeah, that he's playing scared. He's playing timid. But you look, I mean, talk about a get-right game. This Sacramento Kings team, I talked about it, how I wanted to pivot when Harrison Barnes is out. He's like one of the true pros they have left. I just don't see a lot of intensity here on the defensive side of the ball. I think it's tough. It's obviously the ultimate buy low spot, right? If JJ was on, he would say buy the Kings coming off a 47-point loss. They can't be even lower. And the overnight reflected that. They've taken 1.5 points worth of money overnight. I was so surprised to see that people like the Kings, people I talk to that are sharp like the Kings. I can't do it. I can't get involved here with this terrible Sacramento team. What do you think, AP? Is it worth a shot to look at the dog here, or is this a Lakers get right spot?
No, I think it's definitely worth a shot. I mean, I don't have this information up in front of me, but when's the last time the Lakers covered a spread? I mean, it's been an absolute print fest betting against them, right? I mean, do you guys have that information
against Orlando? They pushed against Orlando. It was an 11-point close, and it was 114 to 103. Before that, the last one.
They got smoked by the Wizards, got smoked by the Mavs twice.
The last time they covered was that Utah game when Utah pulled everyone right that morning, right? And and it was an overtime game. They had to go to overtime to beat them.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it, but I would not feel good about taking the Lakers side here at all.
Yeah.
And we get Marvin Bagley back. He's probably come off the bench, so we'll see some nice support there. I don't have a lot of confidence in this Lakers team. But yeah, they could get it right at any point in time. The Kings obviously looked very bad on defense against the Jazz. But the Jazz have been able to do that at times. It's when they're hitting their threes, which we saw all of their bench pieces hit their threes last game. The Lakers need to do something like that. And I don't see it happening, but I don't feel the need to force a bet here. But if I were to bet this game, it would be the Kings side.
Wow. Great to hear. All right, Tyler. My contention is that this little stretch has proved to me that LeBron is the engine of this team. He's the true MVP of this team, and I was really disappointed in how AD looks. When does he turn this thing around? And is it tonight?
I mean, to be honest, I don't think he turns it around. I think they try and go. I think they try and go full effort come playoffs, and I don't think he lasts very long.
Do you think they'll flip the switch when the playoffs comes? I'm a little worried, right? The Clippers showed last year that this idea
they're resembling the Clippers of last year a lot. this year. The way they're just like letting guys sit. I guess they're thinking, oh, the chemistry's built. We don't need to play. We'll just get it together once we need to. But you got to be conditioned to run up and down this floor for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
If AD thinks he's going to play all these little chump change minutes, and then all of a sudden he's playing 38 to 40 in the playoffs, he's going down with an injury. There's no doubt in my mind. So, I mean, and for tonight's game, just like AP said, I think there's a lot better spots on the board. I really don't want to force anything in this game. Mm-hmm. But if you had to pin me down, give me the Kings plus the 8.
Wow, I love it. So, but gosh, maybe it's just because they're local and they break my heart on a yearly basis. Boy, a lot of sharp people on the Kings here. Well, that's good to see because I love my Kings and I enjoy rooting against the Lakers, right? And because that's the only thing really good as a Kings fan because it's not like we ever get to watch our team win. But that is the rest of the games here. I love to hear that you guys are on the Lakers. Fantastic. Let's do Greg Russo's favorite segment now. But before we do, just a reminder to like the video. Please subscribe to the channel and head on over to runpurebets.com. Use the promo code BETS25 off. You'll get access to my plays, HTP plays, Tyler plays. Snyder's been on fire. Joey Work, JJ, and of course the Sports Keg will be live for the UFC tomorrow night and on Sunday with the NASCAR. That NASCAR has been money. So if you are a member, you get to the notifications in the Discord. You don't even have to watch the races. You just get the notification from Jay. Hit this guy at 10-1. Walk over to the computer. Place the bet. You'll be cashing. So it pays to be a member of Run Pure. Head on over runpurebets.com. Promo code BETS25 off. And with that being said, AP, it is time for the best bets. What is your best bet today? Side, total, or prop?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucks here. And are they a pick now?
I saw -1 on Bookmaker, but you can get -110 on the money line. So that to me, that's a pick 'em if you get -110.
Yeah, I'm showing DraftKings Sportsbook. -1. Right. I'm comfortable with that. So, yep.
Yeah, I'm Bookmaker. I joined you, right? But I went ahead and just laid 110 because the -1 was -103. I guess I could just take the 7 cents of CLV, or the 7 cents, probably actually would have been the better play than the -110. But regardless, that's where I'm at. I just went ahead and took the money line. Tyler, what's your best bet for the day?
Give me the most underappreciated NBA player in history leading his team to the playoffs tonight. Give me Washington -7. Westbrook's going to
baby.
Yep.
Wow. I love it.
Another triple-double.
Triple-double machine. Everyone wants to give him shit for them triple-doubles. He's got a winning record with those triple-doubles.
Yeah, I know, huh? Yeah, no, I mean, Russ has been fantastic, and I love the energy he brings on the floor, and he is a man on a mission because, like you said, he's a much maligned player. I mean, it's like NBA Twitter. They enjoy slandering Russ. It's a favorite pastime.
This has got to be one of those situations where once he retires, they're going to be like, yeah, we really treated that guy like shit. Like, he was a lot better than we thought.
Yeah.
Well, hey, one thing, too, to keep in mind, he busted his chalk in the same spot against Cleveland. So I think DFS-wise, you're going to get him a little bit lower owned because people love looking at what happened, yesterday. And, we want him lower owned because I think he's a smash play tonight.
All right. So the two ones that I'm looking at before I give out my play, I like a couple of road guys in the East Coast here. I'm considering the Spurs +4.5 or the Blazers at -2.5. I think I'll ride the hot hand. I'm going to go ahead and jump on this Portland Trailblazers team at -2.5. As much as I like Kyrie, I really like the matchup with Dame, and Tyler gave the great reasons why he thinks CJ will go off. Could be a nice spot for Norm Powell, and let's see what these guys are able to do inside. So it's a tough one to play. I mean, I wish I would have got a little earlier, but I will lay it with the Portland Trailblazers for my best bets. AP, you want to let everyone know what we got going on over at runpuresports.com this weekend?
Yeah, we got a few big NBA slates. We got some monster MLB slates all weekend. We got MMA. I believe what's our promo code that's going on right now? I think it's RPS
Heater 25.
Heater 25, 25% off your first payment for whatever type of deal that you want to sign up for. So sign on up, come run Pier, and it's going to be a fun weekend for sure.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We know the Titletown will be doing the MMA show tomorrow for you guys, and then we'll have, of course, we always have Hardwood Live every day. and you'll have the final countdown with JSU this evening. So much great content over at runpuresports.com. No reason not to get involved if you are wagering significant amount of money or playing significant amount of money in the DFS. You need the information. Information is king, and that's what we're providing. Tyler, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Not really. Just waiting for the second round of that NFL draft to start, and then we get the NBA games tipping off. So should be a fun night.
Who are you targeting for your Pittsburgh Steelers?
On the second round, they got to go offensive lineman.
Yeah.
They have to. I mean, that offensive lineman had a couple guys retire, a couple guys walk to new teams. Yeah. It's like you need to rebuild it now. Yeah. You can't draft a running back in the first round and give them nothing to run behind. So,
yeah. Well, hey, I'm a Raiders fan, so we already got our second round pick out of the way in the first round last night. So just fantastic to constantly ignore the value and get the 69th player at number 17. The fun doesn't stop out here for being a West Coast sports fan. But fortunately, we have gambling, so I can have a lot of fun still. AP, I wanted to thank you for coming on. I think we got some good selections here. I think we were able to find the winners, and I think it's going to be a tough NBA card. And I think, I'll tell you what, this is going to be tough sledding the rest of the year. This injury report's a minefield, and the motivation is really going to wax and wane. And that last week, there's going to be so much, metagame or game theory as far as these players or the coaches and teams maybe trying to dictate their matchups. It'll be interesting to see how these standings play out. I know a lot of people complain about the NBA, but I'm absolutely fascinated right now, even with a bunch of players sitting. I can't wait to see how these last 2 weeks play out and where these playoff matchups, because after enduring what I think is been, one of the toughest regular seasons of all time, these playoffs are they just look like to be a dandy. I mean, sometimes the first round can be blah, but even on the East this year, I think there's so many fascinating matchups. So looking forward to continuing to do the work, finding the winners for you guys so we can all sit back and enjoy watching our NBA basketball. So thanks, AP, for coming on. Tyler and I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, giving you guys the rundown. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please like, subscribe the video, and run pure.